Hello, my wonderful Middletown students. Today's class, I want to do a bit of a reminder and a refresher on making vector graphics. We've done two or three of these already this year. Some of us, missed those days. Some of us were absent, and we're going to be using vector graphics throughout the year. So I figured it would be a fun time to do a little bit of a vector graphics refresher, and we're going to make Halloween stickers. So these vector graphics images are things that I can print out in class and we can have as stickers. I have a few different colors. So I have like red and green, and they won't be colorful, but we're going to focus on having the shapes and the holes. And you can color them in the image if you want, and that'll be useful for other artistic things later, like maybe animations. But as of right now, the focus is going to be on the shape of the image and maybe where holes cut out of the image are. So let's go into Gravit Designer, which I'm going to go through Google to get to because the actual URL has a interesting thing about it. Let's click Get Started, and let's make some Halloween stickers. So, Halloween's next week. Let's do a bit of a theme. Let's make these Halloween themed. So I'm going to make maybe a pumpkin and a spider. And you guys can make all sorts of things, black hats, little witches, continue for free, thank you. Witches, black hats, skulls, whatever you guys want. But I'm going to do some tools just to give you guys some ideas and understanding of what I'm looking for. So I want to start off and I want to make a pumpkin. So I'm going to start off with a circle. It's called the ellipse tool. And I'll make it, I guess this is good. And I'm going to use orange. So let's go to fills, let's go to color, and let's select orange. Their orange is a little too bright for me. Let's use a more pumpkin-y orange. Let's use a slightly darker, redder orange. Nope, that was way too red. It was good for a second, and then I accidentally went a little too far. So let's go to orange, and let me slide this a little over. Okay. So that'll be the base of my pumpkin, and I want to cut out eyes in my pumpkin. So I'm going to go to this triangle tool. I'm going to make a triangle, and I'll put it right here. And I'm going to copy it and paste it. So now I have two identical eyes. By copying and pasting it, I make sure that my eyes are the identical, same exact size. I'll put it 50 from the edge. I'll use this alignment tool to make sure it's 50 from this edge, and then I'll take this triangle and make it 50 from that edge. And that way I have two perfectly symmetrical triangles. And now we're going to play with something new. So these are perfectly in line. I played with some alignment. We've used alignment before. But if I were to put this into so since this triangle is completely inside of this other shape, when we move this into Tinkercad, it'll show this triangle by putting a hole here. So that'll be done for us in Tinkercad. But let's say we had the triangle slightly differently. Let's say we had the triangle like this. Tinkercad wouldn't know that this was a hole. So Tinkercad would just take this triangle and just make this little bump added here, and nothing here would be represented. So when we want to make something a hole, we shouldn't really leave it up to Tinkercad to decide for us. We can tell it what to make it. We could tell the app what to make into holes, similar to what we do with Tinkercad. So when we do it in this app, we want to select the shape that we want to put our hole in, and then we want to select the hole, and we want to make sure the hole is on top of our shape, that we see our hole on top of our shape. Then we want to go to this tool up here, create a compound shape. We want to scroll down, and we want to use subtract. If you remember when we first talked about holes in Tinkercad, subtract is what we called our holes. We called it a subtraction, and it's the same thing here. So we click subtract, and we're not going to see much happen, but now this triangle is a hole that's behind our shape. So now if we took our shape and we moved around, let me make the other triangle hole too. So I'll select them both. My triangle is on top of my shape, so that's going to be the one that's going to be a hole. And then I'm going to click subtract. If you're working with like 4 or 5 shapes at once, the program will get confused about what's the hole, what's not the hole. So it's usually best to just select 2 shapes at a time. The one you want to put a hole in and the one you want to be a hole. You could select more and more shapes at a time, but the program will get a little confused and won't know exactly what you're telling it, and it'll start making weirder and weirder shapes. But right now we have this, which actually is told that it has the holes in them. And we can see that because if we take, maybe a blue circle, and I drag this circle over it, I'll be able to see, well, this blue circle's in front of it, so let me send this blue circle to the back. But we can see that we can see through these eyes because they're not actually triangles, they're holes that lead to the background. So they're holes through our shape. So that's something you're getting graded on today, is putting holes into your shape when you make these stickers. I'm going to finish off this pumpkin with some more basic shapes. Actually, maybe pumpkins tend to curve a little bit at the top, so maybe I'll take another circle. And maybe I will put a little bit of a hole on the top. So maybe I could send this to back. No, the hole should be on top. So let me arrange this hole, bring it to the front. And now I can shift, just like we do in this, I shift click to select them both. And I'll use the subtract tool, and that'll cut that piece off. And I will autosave this so I don't lose my work. So I'll click yes to autosave, and I'll save it to the cloud, and I'll name it Halloween Stickers. Thank you for reminding me. Nice app. Reminds me to save my work. Halloween stickers. All right. So I'll just finish up this pumpkin with some more details. I will use my pen tool to maybe draw out a mouth. And it doesn't have to be perfect. And actually, I'm going to try to, I haven't used this tool too much, but if we click and drag, we can make this bottom piece a curve. And now I drew my mouth, and we don't see it because it's the same color. But if I select, and I do a subtraction, that'll cut that mouth off of my shape, and we'll have that mouth as a hole. And then I can add a little rectangle for the stem, and I'll be all done. And you guys can have your stickers themed however you want. You could copy my pumpkin if you want. You'll have to do another one if you copy my pumpkin. If you make one really, really beautiful one that shows me that you put a lot of work into it, you can get full points for just one. But ideally, I want at least 2 because these are really quick. If I see that they're really quick ones, you're not going to get full points for just having one. That being said, I now have my pumpkin. I can now, maybe I will group these. So if I do a union, then this square, this rectangle, that's the stem, I want it to be green. That'll be part of this shape. So it'll turn it orange. So I won't do a union to make them the same shape. I'll just do a group. So now they're grouped together. And now I'll save this so I don't lose my work. I can export it as an SVJ. And I could put it into Tinkercad. And we want to put these into Tinkercad because maybe you want to make some Halloween decorations. Maybe you just want to leave them as SVJs for stickers. But I want these uploaded to Blackboard as an SVJ file. I need to see that you guys can upload SVJ files. So the 2 things you guys are getting graded on is putting holes in your vector images, because that's something students had struggled with previously. Putting holes in your vector images and saving them as an SVJ file. I need to see that you guys can save your vector images as an SVJ file. Some students have not had that done. They saved it as PNG, which I do not want. So we go to File, Export, Scalable Vector Graphics. Then we can go to Tinkercad. And I would also like to see a screenshot of you putting your work into Tinkercad so that I can see that you guys are able to take your vector images, take the things you've made, and put them into Tinkercad. So that's, I believe, Aiden's logo in there that he brought into Tinkercad. We talked about how to edit a little bit. That kind of gave me part of the idea for this lesson. But these are important skills that I want to see you guys are able to do. Once we're in Tinkercad, we can click Import. we can click choose a file, and I should have downloaded it recently as an SVJ, so it should show up near the top. So it's not saved in this folder. That's okay. I have to hop through some folders. Let's go to downloads, HalloweenSticker.svj. And usually these things come out huge. So let me make this a little smaller. Let me start it at 50% size. Sometimes it'll load in a weird spot. If it doesn't show up, you can click fit all in view over here, and it'll move your camera to your shape. But yep, that's it. So now you can see that it automatically cuts out the holes exactly where the holes are. If I had just used the grouping tool, then he would have a big lump on his head instead of this small indent that I wanted. So that's the goal for today. So if you understand that, if you think you're good, you can close this video, make some on your own. If not, you can keep watching and I'll do one more example. So this is a pumpkin. I'll just change it to orange since it's a pumpkin. The stem doesn't save, by the way. Tinkercad is going to make this into one combined shape when we load it in, meaning it'll be one combined color. Color doesn't really matter in Tinkercad though, so that's not something to worry about. All right, I'm going to make one more. Let's do a spider. Let's do a spider. So first we need the spider's head. I'll make it black. I'll draw a leg. All right, so there's one spider leg. And I'm just going to copy this leg 8 times so that he has 8 legs. Maybe I'll rotate it just a little for the back leg. Control C, Control V. So I copied this, and now we can actually, this was an optional tool during our cookie cutter assignment, but we can use this mirror tool to flip our shapes. This also exists in Tinkercad. So I'll flip this and put it on the other side. And I want it aligned, so let's align it with the other one. Okay, perfect. So now we have a spider. I'm going to move this one a little bit closer to the other one. All right. So now we have a spider. I could add some more details to this, but I think you guys get the idea. This one I would not get full points for on my assignment because there's no holes in it. So maybe if I wanted to add eyeballs as holes so that I get credit on my work. Well, actually, before we do that, let's make sure we're not using multiple shapes when we're cutting a hole. So let me group all of this. And since it's all the same color and we want it all the same place and it's not going to do anything weird, we can click this instead of group to make it all one combined shape. And then I'll add some eyes, and those we can make into holes. So I could add an eye here, and I'll just add an eye here. And they can be different sizes. That's okay for this. And now I'm going to use the subtract tool, and it should cut those out, and it shouldn't look any different. But we'll be able to see if we hold it over other shapes that those eye holes are now holes. And now I can save this as a vector image and move it into Tinkercad as I'd like. All right, hopefully that helps you guys. Hopefully this is a pretty easy lesson. I'm going to leave the whole, like 35 minutes open for you guys to work on this stuff. I'm going to have this video as a resource for you, and hopefully you do well. So thank you for your time, and have a great class. Bye, everyone.